2024 anyway. So happy new year to everyone out there, and I for one happy to see the back of 2024. It's been a terrible year for Tottenham Hotspur. When you're looking at results, the form that we've been on in this calendar year, it's been nothing short of shocking. You happy to see the back of it?
Yeah, start of a new year, hopefully some new energy. 2024 has not been good. Been so many injuries, just bad performances, just toxicity. I'm ready for a new year to start, and hopefully a New Year's resolution for Spurs.
What's your New Year's resolution?
Win a trophy. Come on.
That's the resolution every year.
But look, it's not been good.
It's not been good at all. But look, we're going to get into the match review stuff, match review, player ratings and all that stuff. But we'll start off with the match review. Obviously, Spurs drew 2-2 yesterday against Wolves. It wasn't the worst performance in the world, but obviously it wasn't a good performance by any stretch of the imagination. And I thought it was, two sides that weren't great, really, going up against each other. I thought when the game started, I thought Wolves started the better of the two. I thought Cunha was running rings around us in that first half. Bissouma couldn't get close to him. And when they did take the lead, it probably was deserved, wasn't it?
Well, they took it after 7 minutes. I don't know if they did enough. I don't remember too many.
But I mean, they were on top for the opening 20 minutes.
They started brighter. That's definitely fair to say. And in terms of the goal, though, I've been watching it back, and I was wondering, why was Hwang so free on the edge of the box, right? Because
it's just who we are, mate.
No, it's not actually. Because
it's not who we are.
No, it might be who we are. But I was actually looking, because it didn't make any sense why he was no one near him, and he was able to just get that strike off unchallenged. But if you actually see, when Aït-Nouri lays off the ball to Hwang, Brennan Johnson is actually going to close him down, and I think he probably would have got there, but he's fouled. I think he's fouled. He's shoved out the way. I'm not sure which player it is, but he holds him back, and that's why you saw the players complaining after the goal was scored that VAR to intervene. And VAR obviously didn't intervene. They thought there wasn't enough in it to say there was a foul. But actually, if Brennan isn't stopped in his tracks from closing down Hwang, I think he's on his way to probably getting there and blocking the shot. Unfortunately, he was blocked off. You see him in the replay. He falls over, and I was wondering why he fell over, and it was because he was blocked off by a Wolves player off the ball. And obviously, look, Hwang's a great strike. They're not taking anything away from the strike. It's a brilliant goal, and it's a well-worked routine from Wolves. But I do think. I think that's obviously not been talked about, because I think it's brushed over, because it was a great goal, and obviously we concede, and it was a good reward for a good start for Wolves. But I do think we were not unlucky, but Brennan himself, I guess, was a bit unlucky in that situation, that maybe the referee didn't blow up.
Potentially. I'll probably need to see it again. But look, we did respond straight away from a corner. I thought Pedro Porro's corners were brilliant yesterday. A couple of times he put it bang on the money. This time Bentancur rises above everyone, pretty much a free header in the box, and smashes it in the back of the net. Very reminiscent of the Ipswich header that he scored from the corner. Pretty much carbon copy goals, weren't they? But great delivery from Pedro, and we responded straight away. And I thought as the first half was wearing on, I did think, like, after the initial bit of Wolves' dominance, we were kind of growing in influence a little bit. And we weren't creating too many chances, but I felt like we were getting a bit of control in the game, and we were growing.
Yeah, I think we were kind of, obviously Wolves with Cunha was still holding a bit of a threat, but I think by and large Wolves struggled to really create too much against us, and I think we were the ones pushing and probing that Wolves back line. Obviously the back three and those two defensive midfielders there as well. It's not easy to break them down, but I thought at times we were doing quite well to get beyond them. I mean, I felt Son was actually the one who was struggling a lot. I thought he was making bad decisions. He was rushing things. I thought he was being way too loose with his possession. But I thought on the other side, Decky and Johnson were actually causing a lot of trouble. Johnson was getting to the byline, couldn't really get too many crosses in. They kept getting blocked. He was winning corners, and it was causing problems for Wolves. I thought Decky started off the game not himself, but then there was one moment where he just burst past, I think it was João Gomes on the halfway line, and from that moment on he just seemed to really enter the game, and I thought they again really struggled to deal with him. And I thought, I don't think there was, like, again, it was a very even game. I think Wolves were I think Wolves were fairly comfortable. I don't think they were stretched too much, but we were obviously looking to cause them a few problems. We obviously had that moment where I think Brennan gets to the byline, cuts it back, and Solanke and Bentancur get in each other's way.
I think it was offside though.
It was offside, but yeah, still a comedy moment there where they get in each other's way, and that probably summed up where we are at the moment as a club in terms of just shooting into ourselves instead of the ball. Everyone getting in each other's way, and then obviously we weren't the penalty, which on first viewing I thought was a penalty. Then I looked at the replay. I thought actually it looks a bit soft, and then I was watching Match of the Day, and it's a definite penalty because he clips him very clearly on the ankle while he's going to get away. I think it was Andre, and it's a clear penalty on Brennan Johnson at that point. But then, look, we get the penalty just before half time, and Son steps up. But there was a bit of I watched it back, and there's clearly a bit of a nervous energy about Sonny. He waits way too long to take it. I don't know why he looks so nervous. Just as he's about to take it, he looked a lot more nervous for some reason he usually does, and obviously he goes up going the same way that he usually does, and it was a good height for the keeper, and he got saved. And
Hwang, his countrymate, sold him out, mate. Completely sold him out. You saw him from the back going, he's going that way, he's going that way, and obviously he did go that way. Yeah,
and it's a good save from the keeper, but it's a nice height for him, and it kind of summed up Sonny's game there, where he just wasn't at the races really in this one. He was, and then just after the penalty, he has a moment very similar to the moment against Forest where he does really well with he gets the ball at his feet, he's driving at that Wolves defence. He's got Brennan again to his right, and he's got a Solanke there as well. But again, he just head down. Maybe he's just trying to make up for that missed penalty, but he just decides I'm going to go and try and rectify the situation myself. And it was a bad decision. He overruns the ball.
We've seen this so much, though, in the last couple of games, haven't we? Bad decision-making from Sonny. There's just something not right about him at the moment. And I feel like...
psychologically, I think.
Yeah, maybe that and physically as well, potentially. I mean, last 3 games, he has been really poor. There's no getting away from it. It's the reality. And I was saying before this game, I want to see him, given a rest, come out of the team and start Timo. Look, Timo wasn't that much better when he came on yesterday, but I think what Timo did was get the ball and just start running at them, where Son wasn't really doing that. He also put in a great ball for Solanke. But look, Timo as well put in a bit of a stinky yesterday. So I think Son, when he's playing, he's just not in the game. At least Timo was in the game a little bit when he came on.
I don't think Timo was any more in the game than Son, apart from that one moment. I think Son did get on the ball, but I think Semedo was dealing with him quite comfortably. I think he was trying, but look, you're right. He physically clearly wasn't his sharpest. I think mentally he's trying to overcompensate for some of his failings, maybe by trying too hard in certain actions, and maybe he'd be better off. I think earlier in the season he was doing a really good job, bring his teammates into play, being actually unselfish. But for some, maybe it's because his goal tally's not where it usually is and things like that. Maybe he feels like he needs to take more responsibility when it comes to the goal scoring aspect, and that's why he's making these decisions. But definitely in the last 2 games, there's been situations where other players have been better placed to take certain chances on, and he's decided to take a shot off and then actually ends up where it's a situation where we should be actually creating a good chance and no chance gets created at all, and that's down to him, and that is very, very frustrating. Whether is it a physical problem that's leading to a mental problem, or whatever it is, there's the last 3 games 100%. There's no getting away from it. He's not been good at all, and that needs to sort itself out, hopefully.
Yeah.
But Sonny, look, I'm sure he'll come back, but definitely last few games he's going through something.
Yeah, definitely. And it was a poor performance by any stretch of the imagination. And we thought, we were saying in the stadium at that point, it's the perfect opportunity to go ahead just before half time. A few minutes later, we did go and take the lead literally just before half time, with a lovely move from Spurs. Kulusevski at the heart of things. And I felt like from half an hour, 35 minutes in, Kulusevski was really growing in influence, and probably his best moment in the game to provide that assist. Great footwork, great energy, great physicality, and a nice little ball to Brennan Johnson. And Brennan Johnson obviously finished it in the bottom corner like we know he can do. But yeah, it was a great team goal all round.
Yeah, it was a really good moment, and that's obviously things they train to do on the pitch, to play that kind of football. Obviously, at the moment, we're not seeing it enough, but those kind of moments were really great to see yesterday, and it was a brilliant goal, actually. If you watch it back, Bentancur and Johnson, really great link up on the right-hand side, then Johnson cuts inside, brilliant ball into Decky. His movement to get away from 2 Wolves defenders, cut it back, and then the presence of mind just to lay it off for Johnson, who finishes it first time, powers it into the corner, into the near post. It was a great team goal, and I think it was probably good reward for how we took control of the game and turned it around, albeit again, you're right. We're like in terms of chances created, I don't think there were loads, but I did think we started to look a lot better in that latter stages of that first half. And it was we created that goal, and it was a really good team goal. We earned it with the move that we made, and we're obviously going to halftime 2-1 up, and that's really, really valuable, especially when you're playing against a Wolves side. With 3 defenders, they're always going to be hard to break down, especially if you're chasing a game. So it was really important. We took the lead there, and it was a good moment and a really, really good team goal. And Brennan, what was that? 7 goals now in the league. I think 9 goal contributions in the Premier League. So he's 6 away from his total tally in the Premier League last season. All competitions, I think he's like nearing
11.
on 5th. He's on 11 goal contributions.
Oh, goals.
11 goals in all competitions. Goal contributions must be nearing on 15. So he's getting good numbers. So you've got to give him credit for that.
He is getting good numbers, and look, I think we kind of scored when we were on top right at the latter stages of that second half. We go in 2-1. I thought probably on the balance of play, when you're judging the whole 45 minutes, probably a bit more than we deserved, I would say. Maybe a draw was probably fair on the balance of play to go in at half-time, but we did take a lead into half-time. For the first 20 minutes of that half, like I said before, Cunha was running us ragged. Literally, we couldn't get close to him.
And Nuri, I think, was his.
And Nuri as well, who ends up with 2 assists. And at half-time, Cunha goes off with a bit of a problem. Looked like he had an ice pack or something on his hamstring for the second half, sitting there on the bench. Bellegarde goes off, who didn't really have too much of an impact. But when their best player goes off like that, and they're forced into 2 changes at half-time, you've got to see that game out, and you've got to go for the kill, and you've got to close that game off. And we did try, when Sarr came. I mean, before the changes, in the first 20 minutes of the half, it was pretty much a non-event. I mean, Spurs did nothing. Wolves pretty much did nothing. There was no chances either end. And then we made the changes, and I thought that we had a bit of extra energy. When Sarr came on, he was actually really direct, and he got a few chances, and he's got to put the ball in the back of the net. And if we go 3-1 up in that game, I do think we win it. Yeah, and I think once Sarr came on, it kind of came in and gave a bit of energy to like the likes of Decky and Solanke as well. They were causing, all of a sudden, found a second wind at that point as well. I think we were playing clear. I don't know whether it was instruction or whether it was the team looking to protect the lead, but clearly we were playing a bit more counter-attacking in that second half. We were sitting a bit deeper. Wolves were having a bit more possession. They were kind of dominating the possession, but we were catching them out, and we created a number of opportunities on the counter-attack to kill the game off. And yeah, Werner had that chance where he put it across the face of goal, and Solanke just didn't get near it, couldn't bury it. Obviously, Solanke, brilliant move from him to win the ball in the middle of the park, beat a player, played Decky through on goal, and then Decky went round the keeper but just didn't have put enough on that finish on his right foot to score the goal. And from that point, you're thinking, we haven't killed the game off, but, time's ticking away. Wolves haven't created much. They had one moment of note that I can remember. That's, I think, Nuri got to the byline, pulled the ball across, and Fraser Forster cleared it like a centre-back. He's obviously very used to using his feet, Fraser Forster, at the moment. So Wolves were really struggling to do anything. I thought we were containing them really well, I would say, especially under the circumstances with the defence. We have Radu not 100%, Gray still playing there. I think, Strand Larsen came on at half-time and barely had a kick, I felt, for a lot of that game. But, as we all know, if you don't kill the game off, and the game was at, the game's on a knife edge, one moment and can cost you the game, whether it be a bit of luck or a bit of quality or whatever it is. It cost you the game, and obviously they found it in the 86th minute. Nuri's ball in behind to Strand Larsen from the tightest of angles somehow finds the roof of the net. I mean, look, credit to Strand Larsen because it's a great finish, but I do have a couple of frustrations with it. First of all, Gray kind of just lets him run off him. He doesn't go with him. I know maybe he's trying to play offside, but obviously the line wasn't good because he stayed on. He keeps him on.
He does keep him on. So Gray, if that's the case, you've got to go with him, and you've got to make sure you're getting in front, because essentially he let him go and he had a free shot.
Wasn't he Dragoshin's man, though?
From what I could see, right, he was behind Dragoshin. Gray was Gray's man. And Reguilon had the guy behind him, which was, I think, can't remember who it was. But from what I remember, Gray was the one. He was in front of Gray. He was behind. He was behind Dragoshin. So could they have been tighter together? You could maybe argue that, but it was definitely Gray was on marking him at the time, and I think Gray clearly stops because I think he's trying to catch him offside, but it didn't work. So that was a frustration. And then obviously, I think Fraser Forster's got to do better, to be honest. I think a goalkeeper with maybe faster reflexes probably stops it. And as well, he turns his head away. You know, you're in the 86th minute. He doesn't stand up and look at the ball, and it's a feeble attempt to save it. As much as it's a great finish, and even maybe if he doesn't turn his head his way, you could argue that he still doesn't save it. But I think Fraser Forster has got to do better in that situation. He's got to make sure that he's stopping that ball, even if it means closing him down and like smothering the ball or anything. But he kind of just stands there, and then Larson has the shot, and he turns his head away, and it ends up in the roof of the net. That was a massive frustration, and also a bit frustrated as well that I think, like, from that angle, he should never be scoring. Like, It's a great finish, and I think 9 times out of 10, most players who take a shot from that angle, they don't score, and obviously it's in the 86th minute, and he gets the goal. So massively frustrating. All the good work I thought that defensively anywhere that we did in that second half goes out the window in that moment, and obviously we end up chasing the game for the last for stoppage time. We have one chance with Sarr, doesn't put it away, which on it looked like a great chance in the stadium. I watched it back. I mean, it's a good chance, but it's not like the sitter that I thought it was. It would have been a good header if we would have scored from there. Forster then had to make a save from Doherty, so either team, I guess, could have won it at that point. But it's massively frustrating on the day.
Of course it is, and just carries on the narrative about Spurs not being able to get over the line in games. I did feel like performance-wise, it was a little bit better than we've shown in recent weeks, but still not good enough, in my opinion. A few good performances individually on the day, I thought, with the likes of Kulusevski. I thought Bentancur was a lot better than the previous game. I thought Dom Solanke in the latter stage of that second half, he was kind of on a one-man mission at times to try and push us forward, but he was getting no service, and the one time he did get service from Timo Werner, he just couldn't get on the end of it. I thought Pedro Porro as well put in his best performance in a while, but again, when I say best performance in a while, it's not saying much because he's been really poor of late.
I think he played well though.
He did play well, but it's not like we've seen him have a lot better displays. Let's be real.
Yeah, but it's no surprise he had a bit of a rest and he had an improved performance. It doesn't surprise me that.
So I thought Solanke, Decky, Bentancur, Porro were probably our best performers of the day. But still, when you're talking about a team performance, an overall team performance, it still wasn't good enough.
And obviously Doggy goes off injured as well midway through the second half, and we have to play Reguilon. I mean, we ended up with the left-hand side of Reguilon and Timo Werner, which is, in 2020, coming up to 2025. And it's crazy that is a left-hand side that we ended the game with. You add into that left side centre back as well, Archie Gray. That was the left hand side. That's what we have to contend with at the moment. But in terms of was it good enough? I think it was good enough to win the game. We didn't win it, but we should have won it. I think in terms of the performance, I wouldn't say it was like a game we should have won 4 or 5-0. It was a struggle. I think Wolves actually did play well. I've got to give them credit.
It was a tight game. I don't think you're talking about this game at 2-2 saying Wolves really got away with one, because I don't think they did. I thought a draw was pretty much a fair reflection of the game.
I think it's a bit harsh on Spurs. I think we should have won. I think a win. If you win that game, I don't think you say it was unfair on Tottenham if we won that game. I think we probably just about did enough to win the game.
But also a draw, you're not saying that's
no, because it was a tight game
well,
because Wolves played well. I'm not saying Wolves didn't. I think Wolves were. It wasn't a case of Wolves were playing rubbish. They actually came with a clearly new energy under the new manager. They played some really good passing moves, and I think much better in possession than I've seen them this season. Completely much better. There were times we were struggling to get the ball off them for sure, and they were playing it around us. Their back three was in different kind of positions. I thought Nuri, I picked him out. Obviously, look, it's no secret he's having a good season, but I picked him out as one player I was really worried about in this game specifically because of the wing back situation that we play, and obviously he did make a difference, and he was one of their better players on the day, probably their best player because Cunha went off at half time. And they did play well, but I think as well that's not credit to Tottenham, but I think we did enough to beat a Wolves team that were playing well. I think we should have won the game. I think it's deeply frustrating that we didn't. I didn't come away with it thinking it was another shocking performance like some of our other previous ones. It was better than that. It wasn't as good as that we've seen in other really good performances where we've battered teams and stuff like that. We've obviously played a lot better this season as well. So,
but come on, we're playing at home to a team in the relegation zone.
yeah. Yeah, but you look at the circumstances we're in. We're ending the game with we're playing Reguilon and Werner for half the game. It's like...
Yeah, but Reguilon and Werner both probably get into the Wolves team.
Do they? Nuri?
I mean, they definitely get a lot of minutes. Definitely a lot more minutes than they get our team.
Does Werner get into their team?
I mean, he
don't think
plays.
so.
Of course he gets minutes.
No. What, ahead of Juan Cunha?
For sure he gets minutes.
No, he doesn't.
Bellegarde started for them. Like, he'll get minutes ahead of Bellegarde.
Well, on the right wing? I don't know. At the moment, I don't know. But look. We know they're in good form. They're confident. They've got a new manager. They've got new ideas, and they've clearly got new energy. Of course, we should be beating them. I'm not saying we shouldn't be beating them. I think we should have won the game. I don't sit here. I don't come away from that game thinking that we were terrible or like.
We had a team on that pitch good enough to create a lot more chances than we created.
We created enough chances to win the game,
but we still didn't create enough chances in terms of when you don't put those chances away. You got to keep creating more. We didn't do that.
Right, but then on that side, you're criticising us for not going forward enough, and then we ended up. But you've also criticised Ange for not sitting back, and we did do that yesterday.
But you got to kill the game off, surely. At 2-1, you got to kill the game off.
We tried.
I mean, we tried, but I mean, in the first 25 minutes of the second half, we did absolutely nothing.
Yeah, it's a close game. Look, this is the Premier League. Like, you're going to have periods of the game where it's tough, and you can't be at your best all the time, especially under the circumstances we are. I understand that. We're not going to be at our brilliant best all the time at the moment. We're absolutely stretched thin. We've got massive injuries. Clearly, the players playing a lot. I thought the subs really helped us.
They did help us.
I think it made a big difference when we brought the subs on. We found new energy. We started creating chances again. Clearly, that energy helped.
I thought Maddison was poor when he came on.
Yeah.
He came on and he was like, again, a bit of a carbon copy as well, where we've seen Maddison come on like he's probing and he's looking to do stuff, but like just not enough quality on the ball from Maddison to really go and pick that lock.
Well, I felt a lot of the time he was going for Timo Werner, and he was either offside or dribbling out our play, and
That's true.
A lot of the work came undone. But yeah, I think Maddison could have done more.
One eye on the darts, mate. He had
probably he was. Maddison, yeah, he could have done more. He had 25 minutes, but as well, I also felt like the way we were approaching that second half wasn't maybe suited to how Maddison likes to play. We will definitely look. I think it's clear to see in that second half, especially in the last stages, we were playing a lot deeper than we usually do. Decky said after the game, which I found quite interesting, he said maybe we tried to protect the lead too much, and that's not who we are. That's not what we tried to do. But maybe in the second half we retreated too deep and we tried to protect the lead too much. But we did that. But in other games, if we hadn't have done that, people would have criticised Ange for saying he doesn't change, doesn't have a plan B, all this stuff, and then we do sit back, and obviously we concede a goal because Dragson's probably not 100%, and Gray's an 18-year-old centre-back, and he's not got a lot of experience in that role, and we've got an ageing keeper, and all these different things are probably why we conceded. And obviously, they score a 1 in 100 shot, right? And then we concede the goal because we maybe did sit back a bit too much, right? And we allowed too much impetus late in the game. We allowed them too much. Maybe we should have pressed them and should have held them. But that's what Ange does try to do, right, in general. But he gets criticised for it. So it's like either way, he's getting criticised here.
The reality is, though, like we keep sitting here and blaming injuries and blaming fatigue and all this kind of stuff. But you look at the team on the pitch yesterday. Pedro Porro's just had a rest, so he shouldn't be. I mean, I know he's played a crazy amount of minutes, but he had a fairly good game. Yeah, he had a fairly good game yesterday, so I don't think fatigue comes in for him. Udogie, obviously, he was just coming back from injury and he goes off injured again. You got Bentancur and Bissouma. Bentancur's hardly played any minutes. He had a good game yesterday. Bissouma, I thought he was terrible yesterday. Bissouma. You got Johnson there, who hasn't played too many starts over the last month or so.
Got a goal and penalty.
Yeah, Kulusevski obviously played a lot of minutes. Sonny played a lot of minutes, and Solanke's played a lot of minutes. But you had players on the bench like James Maddison, who hasn't started the last game, where he probably should have started. Like Lucas Bergvall, who's done enough in his cameo appearances to start. Like, why aren't these players that aren't playing often starting games when we keep saying, oh, we're too fatigued, we're too injured, we're too this, we're too that? Why are these players that aren't starting regularly playing? I don't understand it.
Well, as you say, Bentancur didn't clearly need the rest because he hasn't been playing too much recently. Decky obviously had a good game. He just has like 3 lungs. I don't know how he does it. I know he had a poor game in midweek, but he had a good game on this occasion, and he somehow found the energy.
Basuma's just having shockers week in, week out at the moment. Plus, he's played a lot of minutes.
But he clearly felt like we needed that energy. Obviously, he wanted to get
What energy did Basuma give? Like, he didn't give any energy.
But he allowed us to He allowed us to make sure we're dominating that midfield for the majority of it. We didn't really get dominated by Gomez and Andre. He felt like he needed those legs in the middle to make sure that, whether it worked or not, it's a different question, but that's what clearly he felt we needed. He felt like having Maddison there. He wanted to start Johnson, who obviously ended up scoring. He wanted to have Decky in the middle, and he felt like you couldn't have Decky and Maddison, so he made a choice, and he went for Decky. That's what he did, and Decky played really well. I don't think the selection's a problem yesterday, and I also don't think the performance was a massive issue as much as we did.
No, but what I'm saying is that we keep blaming fatigue and the problems that we're going through for us not getting results. We didn't get a result yesterday, and then we're sitting here again saying it's because of the situation that we're in, because we don't have enough players. But there's players on the bench that aren't fatigued.
I don't think it was a fatigue issue why we didn't get the result yesterday. We didn't get the result because we conceded a late goal and we didn't kill off the game. That's why we didn't get the result. I think whether we sat back because of fatigue or whatever it is, I don't know. But I'm not sure what the reason is. I don't know where it was in instruction, whether players took it upon themselves to drop too deep because of anxiety about potentially conceding, whether it was an instructor saying, look, let's try and protect this lead. We've got a 2-1 and, we're clearly struggling with fitness. But I don't think yesterday was why we dropped points necessarily was down to those issues, albeit I do think we're still suffering from them. But what do you suggest he should have changed? Where should Maddison have played?
Well, I said before the game, take Decky out of the team, take Son out. I know Decky had a good game; he was probably our best player, so I'll probably prove wrong in that situation. But I'm saying protect your players a bit more. Take Sonny out the firing line. Play Lucas Bergvall instead of Bissouma. Play players that are fresh and raring to go. Because I thought, like I said, I don't think Bissouma's doing himself any favours at the moment. I don't think Sonny's doing himself any favours at the moment. And if you play players that are fresh, I think that gives us a better opportunity to win the game.
On Thursday, did he?
Bissouma? I don't know when Bissouma started,
but he didn't start on Thursday.
You sure about
Bissouma?
He did, didn't he?
Did he? No, he didn't. Bentancur started.
Well, either way, he's putting in shockers every time he plays.
Whatever, but but in terms of freshness, I don't think keeping Bissouma is because of fresh. Look, he just didn't. Maybe he didn't have a great game, but it's not because he was he's fatigued. He didn't play on Thursday, so and then he took him off. Did he take him off and then brought on?
He take him off and we had our best period in the game.
Yeah. But that's because Saul was a lot fresher because he had maybe.
But Bissouma didn't play against Forest, but he's been playing pretty much every other game.
Yeah, but he had a rest and then he started this one. Like I don't think that was the case. Maybe for Sonny, but then you see what Werner brings up, and I can understand why he can't stand the sight of starting Werner at the moment. Obviously, Sonny only played an hour anyway, so maybe he thought I can get an hour out.
Look, let's get it real. Let's get it real. Timo Werner in 25 minutes created more than Sonny did in 65.
Okay, but maybe he felt I could get an hour out of Son, yeah. And look, it didn't work because Son wasn't good. But I'm just saying, he felt I can get an hour out of Son and then I'll play Werner for the last half an hour. And watching Werner's cameo, I know he created one opportunity, but the guy can't control a football most of the time. He's dribbling the ball off the pitch. He is so frustrating. I think even Ange is clearly getting frustrated with him, given some of the comments he's made about him, which I don't think he's made about any other player but him. And you got a player who's on big wages. He's won big things in his career, right? He's had seasons where he's done well, and he's obviously a German international. I don't know how many caps he has for Germany, but he's got a lot of caps for Germany, and he's coming on the pitch for us. So he can't control bloody football. He can't keep the ball on the bloody pitch, right? It's got to be massively frustrating. And he's given Werner every opportunity. So he decided not to start him, and he decided I'd rather see Son for an hour and then take him off rather than start Werner. That's what he decided. Obviously, it didn't work because Son wasn't good. Hopefully, Son with a week break now could rest up a bit and just hopefully recharge. I want to see Sonny starting next game, but yeah, it clearly. I wouldn't say, but the thing is, my point is, I don't think it massively changes if you maybe play Werner for an hour and bring on Son for the last half an hour. I don't know if it massively changes.
I do feel like maybe bringing on a fresher Son just for the last 20 minutes, it could have like pushed us on to get that killer blow in the last 20 minutes of the game.
Maybe, but like he didn't do much for the first half either. So like I don't know whether there's a fatigue issue where he just, wasn't at his best, and whether it be for the last half an hour or the first. Maybe against tiring legs, you could argue he's got a better chance of doing something. But I don't see that as.
And like, what more does Bergvall have to do to get a start as well? Like Bergvall's been brilliant.
Yeah, we could see maybe more of Bergvall. But again, is the team selection why we didn't win yesterday?
We don't know. We don't know if we would have played a different team.
We did enough to win with the team on the pitch.
Just. I mean, but like we're saying, a draw is a fair reflection of the game.
I don't think it is.
Of course it is.
I think it's a bit harsh. As I said before, I think it's a bit harsh on Spurs. I think we should have won the game. I think in terms of the chances we created, we did enough to win the game. We didn't, and we got to take that on the chin. And
it's not like we played well. We didn't play well yesterday.
We played well enough to win the game. And it wasn't a great scintillating performance. It wasn't one of our best, and I've seen us play much better. But did we do enough to win the game? I would argue we did. Look, we didn't, and we ended up conceding a goal later on. It's massively frustrating, and when we have the back line that we have, we don't kill off the game, there's always a chance you do concede. You've got to kill the chances off when you get them. But I didn't come away from that feeling like it was a terrible performance and we got lucky with the draw or anything. I think we probably should have won. Again, it wasn't like we massively deserved the win. It wasn't like we were much better than them. As I say, Wolves are playing well at the moment. They played well yesterday. It was a tough game. This was Premier League. So you're going to have tough games. This was a very tough game. We didn't blow them away. I grant you that. It wasn't a 4-5-0 win. But did we deserve to win the game and get the 3 points? I think we did, and we didn't. And we got to take that on the chin. It's unfortunate.
What I was really annoyed about yesterday was Bentancur. Like, as much as I thought he played well and one of our better players, to get that booking in literally the last minute of stoppage time, like, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? And now he's going to be suspended for the Newcastle game.
It's our
so stupid, though, isn't it?
It is stupid, but I also understand we're chasing the game. He's desperate to try and get the ball back, and he makes a lunging challenge, to stop a Wolves counter attack, and he's thinking he's going to win the ball and set Tottenham up on a counter. Didn't happen. He ends up missing it. He mistimes it, and he gets the booking, and he looked frustrated in himself. But I think it's more our frustration of how the game went in terms of that we conceded and we allowed Wolves back in the game to get a draw in a situation where we should have killed the game and we should have won. And that's probably where it bore out of. But it's very frustrating because he had a good game, and he was looking like we need him as well right now. We need him in that form, and now he's going to be out for another game. But in terms of some of the narratives I've seen after this game, I saw some podcasters. I was watching some reaction yesterday. I just saw so much rubbish. I saw some people suggesting after this game that it was clear now these players are not playing for Ange Postecoglou, and I can see on this pitch that they're not fighting for him. And I just think that watching the game yesterday, I just think that's absolute rubbish. I just don't see. I think these players are giving absolutely everything to try and get the result yesterday. And I know we didn't get it, but I think the suggestion by some fans at the moment that I've seen that these players are not playing for him and it's clear now is just absolute garbage. And I think that narrative is, I don't know, maybe watching it on TV you get a different sense of it than being in the stadium, but I just think watching the game yesterday, these players are giving everything, in my opinion. They're absolutely running themselves into the ground, and I feel bad for them at the moment.
Yeah, look, I don't think they're downing tools or anything like that. I just feel like we're just not good enough at the moment, and the results show it. I think this season we've got a lower points per game ratio. I saw a stat than Christian Gross. Christian Gross, 97-98. That was when Spurs were at their pretty much their worst in the Premier League era. Literally the worst of the Premier League era, the worst of the worst.
Yeah, but it's a weird season.
We're fighting relegation.
Apart from Liverpool, right, who are unbelievable. Look, if you look at the points at the moment, right, Forest are second, yeah?
Yeah.
On 35 points.
37.
They're on 37. So they're on course for 72 or something, right? Which second place to be 72 is extremely low, right? 72 is usually in the top 4 battle. Yeah, you're not usually in second place with that kind of a low points total. So that means all the teams below that, right? People are in 5th and 6th who are on course for like probably historically low points totals in those positions. Look, I'm not saying I'm not saying that he's doing well and all this kind of stuff. Obviously, 1.26 whatever the points per game, is extremely low and it's not good enough. And obviously, we need to do better than that. But there are clearly reasons for that. I was reading an analysis of like the points per game and all that kind of stuff when we have fit defenders and when we don't. And when we have our fully fit defence, right? Yes, we still lose games. I'm not saying we're the perfect team, but our points per game is about 1.9, right? Which is still below like the 2 which you probably want, which is puts you like in a good place in like top 4. 1.9 is not amazing, but it's like not horrendous either. And you extrapolate where we would be if we had a 1.9 this season, right? We would be in about 3rd place, right? Ever since obviously this injury crisis, we've had a massive drop off and we've stopped winning games, and we're now basically we're struggling to win. And that's, for me, I could point to as to I would say why this season is going so badly. I think if the injuries wouldn't have happened, I'm not saying we'd be winning the league, but would definitely be in there in the terms of the race for that top 4, top 5. I think at the moment, obviously we're out of it at the moment because we've completely dropped off a cliff at the moment in the current injury crisis. We can't seem to get any sort of let up. We've just got a Doggy now injured. We had Radu playing at the back who wasn't 100% as well. We've got Gray who's having to play every single game at the moment at centre back and trying his best. It's very, very difficult, and this league is so unforgiving, this league. You've got so many good teams at the moment. You have any sort of drop off and teams are just exploiting it every single week. And even when you have games like yesterday where you probably should have won and we still can't get over the line because of whether the last minute goal or whatever, we didn't kill the game off, we still can't go over the line. Look, obviously the pressure's going to build. The longer we're in this situation, the pressure's not going to relent unless we start winning games, and I get that, but I find it hard to see how it turns around in the short term while this situation's going on. But I also don't see how a change of manager helps that.
They should be able to get some sort of points on the board though, like regardless of injuries or not, like we should be able to get some sort of points on the board. And I think it's not good enough. It's nowhere near good enough. And like I keep saying at the end of every game, the worrying signs were creeping in before the injuries even happened. You know, 1.29 or something this season, and the injuries only hit in December.
Yeah, but it wasn't 1.29 before December, was it?
But it was getting bad. It was getting bad.
The point, if you look at how we were going, right, before December or whatever, before these injuries hit, before we had a massive injury crisis, we would still be right in the mix.
But it was dropping. But we were dropping before that.
We've only really dropped because of this injury crisis. That's why
I don't agree. I think this was coming. I think this was coming all along. It's not easy to say that because we were saying that. I was saying that after the Ipswich game.
I'm telling you, if we didn't have this injury crisis, we'd have a few more wins.
A few more wins, fine, but we would still be dropping.
That's all it takes. A few more wins, and you're right back in the mix. So that's all it takes. Right now, we're struggling to get any wins because of the circumstances that we're in. But all it takes is like 2 or 3 wins, and all of a sudden you're back in the mix. So I think we would have had that if it wasn't for the circumstances. But unfortunately, I'm not saying we would have won every game. I'm sure we still would have lost games. I'm sure we would have dropped points. Maybe we would have dropped points to teams that you expect us not to drop points to. But we would have had we'd have more points than we are now. And all it needs is another 2 or 3 wins, right, out of the games that we've dropped points in, or even some draws in there, and we would have been right in the mix. But unfortunately,
you know what? I don't even know if we would have had more points because I'm looking at the teams that we did play in that period. I mean, Chelsea we probably wouldn't have beaten. Bournemouth we probably wouldn't have beaten. Fulham, would we have beaten them with the results they're getting at the moment? Liverpool we definitely wouldn't have beaten. Forest going away there is very hard, and our away form even at the best of times ain't great. And yeah, maybe we would have got a win yesterday, but like I don't even think we would have got that many more points on the board.
I think we would have. But look, this is Captain Hindsight. We don't know that we got the points that we got, but I think we would have gotten some more points if we didn't have this injury crisis, for sure. That's my opinion. And it doesn't take too many more points on what we have to be in a position where everyone's not melting down, in my opinion. But look, we are in where we are. There's no doubt about it. The pressure's going to continue to build. I still don't think it's the right decision to sack him. I still think that we're in the current situation that we're in. right? Whatever manager who inherits this is going to have the same situation, and I don't see them getting too many more points right now than what we're getting. And I think the best course of action is we're as I said, I said this after the Bournemouth game, and I'm not going to change my mind. There's a lot of pain that's going to happen in the next month, and this is what we're incurring right now. It's been very painful, these results, but I think there's not much. While we've got no defence, pretty much. Like, I don't know what we can do to stem the tide right now. It's very difficult.
But we do have a defence. We started with 3 out of our. I mean, Dragoshin we brought in January. We basically.
He's not 100% fit. He's got, he wasn't
okay,
100% fit.
but around about we've had Porro, Udogie or Spence, and Dragoshin and Archie Gray filling in. And our best performers have been probably Archie Gray on a consistent basis during this period. So I think this whole narrative, we haven't had Mickey van der Ven and Coutinho Romero, and we have been decimated. I'm not going to lie, of course we've been decimated, but I don't think from a player personnel that's actually been playing, we should be getting more points than we've got. Of course we should. And we should be managing this period a lot better than we are.
It's easy to say that. It's easy said than done. I think I don't know a different manager that just gets all these wins that you're talking about with what's available at the moment, with how the squad is. I don't know. Maybe playing a different way. Maybe if we really protect the defence and go all short and Dyche, maybe we can do it, and maybe we can grind out some results. But that's not going to lead anywhere long term. Like, in terms of having someone who's going to play attacking football and get these results with that defence, it's very, very difficult. And
regardless though of like I keep saying, regardless of the injury thing, like, it's still not been good enough, even when we've had our first team players out there. How can you say it's been good enough?
My point is, when we had a first team, right, in terms of if we would have carried on the way we were going with the first team, the position we would be in would not be bad. It wouldn't have been terrible. It would probably be in like the top 7 conversation. It's very tight in that situation. There's only a few points in it. That's probably where we would be. It only takes, as you say, a bit of a drop off in at the moment. You're in a very bad run of form like we are because of the circumstances, and all of a sudden you're in the bottom half and you're falling away because this league at the moment is very, very unforgiving and it's so tight. All we've needed is like another 2 wins and we're right back in there in the mix. And
we wouldn't have got another 2 wins though.
I think that's your opinion, but I think we would have. And I think we've shown in this season we're capable of getting wins of this season before this injury crisis. We were very capable of getting wins. Maybe it was a 1 game, 1 win and 1 loss, right? But if we would have gotten 1 win and 1 loss in the past few weeks, we would be in a fine position. We wouldn't be in the position where we are in. The moment we're dropping like a stone. We're not winning any games, and that's the problem.
We've barely been able to win an away game all season. We've beaten Man U and Man City. That's about it, right?
Southampton.
And Southampton. Okay, and Southampton all season. Man City are the ones that have fallen off a cliff. Man U lost their manager a few weeks later. Like, we've only been able to beat teams away from home in crisis. That's the reality, right? Like, at home, we haven't won a game since the Aston Villa game, and we lost to Ipswich. We had pretty much a full team out there. We lost to Crystal Palace, who hadn't won all season. We had a full team out there. So, I mean, I don't understand where you think these magical wins are coming from with our first team.
We've also won 7 games where we've battered teams, and they don't come out of nowhere. They don't just disappear because it doesn't suit the narrative. We've shown we can win games. Just because, yes, we might have lost games because of ANGE, but we've also won games because of ANGE as well, and that also has to be taken into account. These aren't magical wins. These are wins that we've earned, and we could have earned more wins under different circumstances. But in the circumstances we are at the moment, it's very, very difficult. But
we've had more bad losses than good losses. We've had more bad results than good results since ANGE has come to this football club.
We've had more bad results than good results since ANGE. Yeah, maybe. But that's...
not maybe, because haven't we lost more games than we've won since ANGE has come?
That's under also that's reality as well. But ANGE has had a big job to contend with. Completely rebuilding this team, rebuilding the style of play, having an attacking style of play without your best ever striker in Harry Kane, who was bailed you out so many times over the years. We now don't have that. Right, we don't have this basically get out of jail free card that we've had for many, many years that got us so many wins, 30, 25, 30 goals a season. We don't have that. So, he's got to have to make up for the goals some other way. So that means playing an attacking brand of football, and that's what he's trying to do. And it wasn't going to come overnight. And I think we were building in a good way. Yes, it wasn't perfect, but I thought we were doing pretty well by and large in terms of building towards something. And then now this injury crisis hit, and it's completely derailed our season, no doubt about it. The what's happening right now has derailed our season. But I think that the stat, if you look at the facts of how we were going before all these injuries hit and how we are going now, right? Yes, it wasn't perfect. Yes, we had those losses to Ipswich and Palace, and they were very frustrating. Yes, we maybe had picked up some results that we didn't think we should against teams that we should be beating, but we also had some very big wins, and we also showed that as much as we can lose games, we can lose games that we should win, also win games that you think that you don't expect us to win as well. And I also think that the stats show the points per game and all that stuff. Everyone puts this stat, 1.26. It's only that bad because of the form right now. If you take it out, right, before December.
But why are we excusing it just because we've got injuries? Is that why we're excusing it? Just because we've got some injuries?
It's not just some injuries. Like, come on, we're not got any centre backs. Like, any team would suffer from that.
But Archie Gray has been one of our best performers. Like, he's been doing really well. He's been doing really well.
Under the circumstances.
Radu Dragusin is a centre back. You know, we bought him for big money last January.
Yes, but we got a 37-year-old goalkeeper in Fraser Forster who can't really implement that sweeping high line that we want to. We got Dragusin, who's he's good, but he's also a very young 22-year-old centre-back who's feeling his way into the Premier League, who's getting his first consistent run, and he's being partnered with Archie Gray, who's an 18-year-old central midfielder. They've got to somehow develop a partnership very quickly in an unrelenting league, in the Premier League, which is very, very difficult. Any kind of manager who has to contend with these things, there's going to be suffering results, 100%. It's very, very difficult. We're trying to make do with it, and obviously he somehow got through the quarter-final and got us to a Carabao Cup semi-final. But in the Premier League, when you're playing every 3 days,
we somehow beat a team that are losing week in, week out.
Yeah, it was. I think it was a minor miracle we won that game in hindsight.
A minor miracle. Yeah. They're losing to everyone. They just got battered to Wolves. They're losing week in, week struggling.
Out. They've got a fully fit squad. They've got a new manager as well who's implementing new ideas, and he's got a fully fit squad of players to choose from. And we're at the moment running on empty. We're playing the same players pretty much most weeks. A lot of players are suffering with fatigue. We can't really. There's a lot of players we can't really change. And coupled into that, this defence. It's any manager who's got the injuries in defence that we do is going to suffer for it. There's no manager.
We've only been able to really, apart from 1 or 2 games this season, we've only really been able to beat teams that are in crisis this season. We haven't, I don't think any of our wins have been that impressive. At the time, they were impressive because we didn't even know what was coming ahead. But Man City have barely won a game since we've beaten them. Manchester United, obviously, like I said,
Forest 3-0.
Okay, I said barely. They have won a game. They've barely. Man United have been in crisis pretty much all season. They've sacked their manager since we played them. West Ham pretty much been in crisis all season and been shocking. And Villa,
half the Premier League are in crisis. Okay,
well, three teams isn't half the Premier League.
Yeah, we've won 7 games. Okay, and look, yes, again, I'm not saying we're the perfect team. I'm not saying we haven't dropped silly points where even with our first team. I'm just saying the points we were getting with our first team would have been enough at this point to have seen us still hang in there in terms of being in that top 5-6 conversation. That's the reality. That's what the facts were showing. And since this has happened, we've now had a complete drop off, and we're falling like a stone. And it's hard to take. But I don't see a new manager magically changing that.
Yeah, we've had a drop off from being pretty much inconsistent, like very poor and good. We were like one off, and now it's off.
Yeah.
But it was never good enough even before the injury crisis.
Well, if we would have been 6th or 5th, that would have been good enough. As I say, that points per game would have had us in the top 4. I'm not saying we would have kept it up. I mean, maybe there's a slight drop off on that, even with that points per game.
We would, because the games got harder.
But even with a slight drop, but we can handle hard games. We can play against hard teams with our first team.
We didn't show that last season, really.
We showed that this season.
When?
We've showed it. We've played good games against hard teams.
Who?
The teams in the top. Aston Villa, we played well. I thought Newcastle, we played well.
Well, we lost.
Yeah, we still played well. I'm saying we can play. Yes, you're not going to win every game, but we can definitely play against them. We can definitely show we can get points against them. That's my point. Chelsea, with our first team, we were 2-0 up. Maybe we would have got something out of that game.
I don't think it. Look, from a general basis, since Ange Postecoglou has come here, I still think he's living off those first 10 games, and I think that is why a lot of fans are still backing him right now. But I think he's running out of excuses. I genuinely believe he's running out of excuses, and I think he should be sacked. I think he should be. I think
Yeah,
from
out, go say it.
Ange out. There, I said it. All right, I said it. And this is the first time I'm saying it, and I just don't believe that he should be staying in the job for the results that he's showing and the performance levels that he's showing as well. He's just not. Like the stats bear it out for everyone to see. You're a guy that heavily relies on stats and heavily looks at the stats, and I don't understand how you cannot see it with your own eyes.
I've explained it to you. I've explained it to you very clearly. Why? And that's how I believe.
And he'll be gone. He'll be gone. Once we lose to Newcastle, once we lose to Liverpool, that'll be that.
We'll see. Maybe. I think that would be the wrong decision, in my opinion. I don't see a point in sacking him. I think if we sack him, look, what if we go with an interim manager? That would be a massive mistake, because what would be the point in that, right? And if we who we getting mid-season right now to come in and steady this ship, right? Who's going to change it, right? Who's going to magically bring back the centre backs or whatever, or I don't know. I don't see a new manager coming mid-season, right? Who's going to be the answer, the long-term answer? If you want to go for like an Iraola or Marco Silva, they're probably only going to come at the end of the season anyway. I don't see them getting out of their clubs mid-season. So I think right now there's not much upside I see to sacking him.
Why can't you get Iraola mid-season?
Because he's in the top 6 race with Bournemouth. Why would he want to leave that for this right now?
Surely it's a much bigger club and a much bigger job.
With a
and he'll get paid a lot more as well.
I don't think he comes right now. I think he's doing a great job at Bournemouth. Why would he risk that to come and contend with his injury crisis? He's probably looking at Amorim and saying, look, things aren't exactly improving.
And why do we keep getting these injuries? Why does this injury crisis keep happening? 2 years in a row under Ange, we're saying the manager has nothing to do with it.
Maybe some he does, maybe some he doesn't. I don't know. I'm not on the medical team. Maybe Ange is the one causing all the injuries. It's a possibility. I can't deny that. I don't know for sure. None of us do. Obviously, the ones like Vicario, I think the ones like Romero, I think obviously the Bentancur ban. Like, there's not much he can do about those kind of ones. But the reoccurring injuries, like Van de Ven's injury, like a Doggy's injury.
It was the same at Celtic. There was literally a quote from him saying, I can't do enough, I can't protect the players or something along those lines. Like, this happened at Celtic and it's happening again here.
Well, Celtic, we seem to cope with it.
Well, it's a bit of a different kettle of fish managing Celtic in the SPL and managing Tottenham.
Of course. I don't know what it maybe is that. Maybe Ange does have a part to play in it. I don't know. It's hard for me to say. I'm not a doctor. I'm not on the medical team. Maybe Ange. Maybe it's the way he's playing. Maybe it's the way he's bringing players back. I don't think we can say for sure. But I don't think you can. I can't discredit it, because it might be something to do with him. But I don't know. I don't know if that's enough for me to say that's why he should be sacked, because he's causing all these injuries. I don't know. That's enough for me to say that.